Okay, welcome back. I hope I'm not boring you guys, and I really hope I'm getting the information across as I need to. Sometimes it's difficult. In my head, I know what I'm trying to get across, but sometimes it can get lost in translation. So hopefully feel free to message me on the in the comments if there's something that's unclear, and I'll do my best to help. As I say, I'm not a professional and I'm relatively new to these machines, but hopefully this can help out. Okay, so we've got to this point. From what I can gather, the next thing to put in is this, which I'm going to call the buttonhole and stitch width lever or arm. So once again, very, very problematic component with regards to dried up lubricant and getting stuck, and it's very difficult to get the old stuff out of there without disassembling it. But anyway, if you're at this point, you've done that. You've cleaned it all, you've now greased it up, and you're ready to put it back together, and that's the next part of this step. So basically, this shaft here is what we want, slips into that main hole, just as simple as that, okay? And that should feel absolutely free. That should be like there should be no stiffness or tightness or binding in there whatsoever. And as I said earlier, this part here should be the same. Absolutely needs to be totally free. If there is any binding in either of these components, it's going to give you major dramas. So make sure that's done. Now, one of the components that I don't have for the reassembly is, once you put this arm back on, there's an eccentric screw and there's a screw that goes in here to lock this component on to this whole unit. It's got an eccentric in it, and on the back side of it, it's got two thin metal flat washers, and then it's got two small nuts. One nut to adjust the tension on the eccentric, and the other one is a lock nut. That's all self-explanatory. I don't have a spare one, so I'm sorry, I can't put that back on. The model that I have also on this, I think it's a 6mm shaft. I think. Double check. Yep, so that's a 6mm shaft, and there's this circlip also that kind of holds it all together. Now, I've found that it's a real, it's a bugger of a thing to get that circlip on that shaft, and I overcame that problem with just a little piece of aluminium tubing that I had out the back. So it's got an ID of 7mm and an OD of about 10mm. And I just cut off a section an inch or two long, and then all you do is you place the circlip on top like that, get your piece of aluminium and put it on top of the circlip, and I haven't got my soft hammer here, so I don't like using the wrong tool, but you don't actually have to hit this very hard. You just give it a couple of taps, and that makes it look really easy to get that circlip on. My circlip pliers are obviously not the correct size circlip pliers for these circlips, because I do have circlip pliers, and I could not get them to work, and I just found that it was super easy using that. Anyway, I digress. So you've got that on, you've got the screw in there with the eccentric, two thin flat washers on the back, one nut to adjust its tension, and then another lock nut. Okay, sorry, that was out of camera shot. So yeah, that'll be in here. Okay, so we're going to assume that you've done that. Now, if I am correct, the next task is to get the worm drive gear. This is the shaft that the cam stack operates on. So obviously lubricate this shaft. You take the time now while it's easy to put some of the appropriate nylon grease on here, and that goes straight onto that shaft. Actually, we might have to wind this out in order to get it on. It'll wind that out again to its furthest point in order to facilitate getting this on. Okay, so that drops in there like that. And now, another slightly tricky bit, but not too bad. There is a key on this shaft which lines up with a keyway in the cam stack. Okay, so obviously you've got a nice shiny new cam stack that you're going to put on your machine, or you've got one out of a unit that's in good condition, or I don't know, I really need to try and get hold of some of these and I don't know where to get them yet. Maybe you guys can help me out in the comments with some ideas. So yeah, make it so that you can see the key, lubricate the outside of this or the inside of this. Now as you come down, this is important. This component here, this section of this sliding key here rides in this groove in the cam stack. That's what moves the cam stack up and down. When you turn the knob on here, it moves this laterally forward and back, and because the point of this component is resting in the groove in this cam stack, that's what moves the cam stack up and down. Okay, so we've got to get this on here and get that component into that groove. So once again, you've got to put your tongue out of the left side of the corner of your mouth. You've got to squint your right eye. You've got to have someone talking too loud in the same room so you can't concentrate. And then you bring this down, start it in the keyway, and then try and get this in to that groove as you come down like that. Okay? Right. Now what we do is we wind that in so that it's once again at its lowest point. And as you can see, now you can see the relationship between all of these components that you've so skillfully put back together with correct timing. Now we look in here, we're checking everything looks good. Yep, the relationship between these two faces here is still nice and tight. That's snug up against there. This is working, everything's lubricated, got the circlip on. We would have the eccentric assembled in here as well. Everything's, look at this, nice and free, beautiful. That's what we want. So now we can put our spring-loaded retaining screw down into here. Whatever you do, you'll see there's a little washer on here. All of these components actually, they're very, very specific. If you were to accidentally lose one of these components, the only way you're going to find any more is out of a machine that you can get parts, scrap parts out of. I think it would be very difficult to find these parts, and to get an engineering shop. I'm a machinist myself, and to get an engineering shop to make you components like this it'd be prohibitively expensive, because it's a really fiddly pain in the backside job. So be careful with them. I would lubricate, obviously I'd lubricate that shaft. In we go there. Now for assembly of these, I found a little trick, is bring it down and use your thumbnail in the threads to hold it, because it's spring loaded, and if you let go of it, it will exit the building. We'll call it the Elvis screw. There you go. And get that screwdriver in there, very, very carefully start it. Now don't tighten up on it until you've had a look in there and made sure that it's all bottomed out nice and neat, and you're not going to crush and destroy that washer. Okay, so that's all good. So we'll nip that up, not too tight. Okay, now that's all looking good. We're really close to the end here, guys. We'll keep going. This little spring-loaded arm here, I've found that the easiest way to do it is you just hang that hook on there. Oh, actually, no, that's not the easiest way I found to do it. I found the easiest way to do it is get the short side of the hook. Oh, that's a bit bent. Let's straighten that up while we're at it. There we are. There we go. Okay. So get this hook, so like this. Hook that in there, like that. Come back to our arm. Hook that. Now I could have sworn that that went the other way. I'll have to check on that. I apologise if I'm putting this on the wrong way. But basically hook that in there. And then over the little rectangular tab at this end. Let's see if I can turn it so you can see it a bit better. Like that. That hooks over there. And then this end hooks into here. And what this does is that's what holds your spring tension up against that sliding detent, roller detent that we had earlier. So we don't have to use our thumb to simulate that spring anymore. Right, now we're going to test it. Look at that. See that arm, super free. There's no resistance, no binding there at all, okay? And that's what we want. Otherwise you will have problems, in my experience anyway. This is also really free. It's good. Okay, so let's test. Put the knob on there. Okay, so we are as far counterclockwise as we can go. We can imagine. So this is our light fitting in the machine. We're looking at the front. This is our stitch selector knob. So we're in position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's do it from this side. Okay, so let's get that out of the way so it doesn't bind. So yeah, what have I got going on here? Oh, that's that broken gear's giving me trouble again. It's not ideal for a demonstration video. I do apologise, guys, but it's the only thing that I've got to work with at the moment. Let's take that off and see if we can. Hang on, I'll just get this organised and see if I can get that thing unbound.